I'm in London now, and it's a big, big evening. Sophie Ellis-Bextor live at Koko. Yes, it's showtime. Hey, hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing really well out there, and a warm welcome to this review of Sophie Ellis-Bextor's 8th album, Perimenopop. Yeah, it was released last week on Friday, and as you could see from this intro, we did attend a live concert on the 8th of September. That was Monday last week, and that was really the launch week, of course, for this new album, and in honor of that, this was also in a way the launch party of the whole thing. So she performed the whole album, Perimenopop, from start to finish. So exciting times for sure. So I just want to go through that concert experience before I go into the album itself. So arrived at Koko, which is in Camden in London. This legendary place, I heard so much about it throughout the years, and it used to be called Camden Palace, if I'm not mistaken. But then in, I think 2004 or 2005, it changed to Koko, which it is today. But it's still this legendary place that was built in 1900, so it does celebrate 125 years this year. So yeah, just to go in and imagine all these great artists and bands that have been performing there over years, it was just this great feeling to visit this place. And when we arrived, I also saw a photo booth standing there, and I was like, yes, I seen that from Sophie's own social media. This is something that she has in place for most of her concerts this year. It was also the basis for this t-shirt, among so many other things. And of course, the album cover itself that we're going to look at in a couple of minutes here. And you could go into that photo booth, take a couple of photos of yourself, all free of charge. All you had to do was sign a waiver when you stepped into that booth. On the screen it says, well, I agree that Sophie Ellis-Bextor can use this as promotional photos or for promotional use or on stage shows. So I was like, yeah, no problem at all. So you put on a silly hat if you wanted to, make a crazy face, whatever you wanted to. It took 4 snaps of you, so that's exactly what we did. Here it is, me and my girlfriend. So 4 photos of us. We got a copy each of it, and it's on photo paper, so it's in really good quality as well. And yeah, so that was great. And then, of course, we stood there waiting for the concert to begin, and when it kicked off, I wasn't disappointed at all. This is the first time, at least to my knowledge, where she performed this whole Perimenopop album from start to finish live. And that was a great experience for sure. And I'm not going to go into the track listing here because we're going to look at the album, of course. But it was great to hear all of these new tracks that I haven't heard before. Granted, I think, was it 5 singles she released before this album was actually launched, or was it 6? I think she released another single last week. So at some point I was like, she probably has released the whole album at this point. But of course not. There was 12 tracks, so she released half of them as singles. And of course with the new singles I sang along and I knew all the lyrics by heart. But there was 6 more songs, or yeah, well, I would say 7, because that later single I just heard on the night that I haven't heard before, and it was such a great blend of songs. But then, of course, she had an encore, as you should as an artist doing live performances. And that encore kicked off with Hypnotized. And then it went into Ready for Love and then Get Over You. And I will also say that this whole encore was just like a big medley. Everything just melted together perfectly on this one. And the next song, which I thought was Groovejet, I was certain of it, but it turned out she did a cover of Mojo's Lady, Hear Me Tonight. Yeah, you know the song. Lady, hear me tonight. Well, my singing voice is not here or there, but yeah. And then that one, Lady, went into Groovejet, of course, and then that one went into Can't Fight This Feeling. And then it went into ABBA's Gimme, 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 A Man After Midnight. Yeah, a great rendition of that one. It got probably the hugest applause of the night. It was a bit of an unexpected turn to this medley, but she did it really, really great. And after that, just a brief pause for her to take the bows and some more applause. And then she went into Heartbreak, Make Me a Dancer. And that was one of the high points for me. I love that song for sure. And then to round the whole thing off, of course, well, nearly, Murder on the Dance Floor. And what a great rendition of it. It was very similar to one of the 12-inch mixes in my ears, and it was great. People sang along, and it was this great feeling in Koko at that point. And then she thanked the whole band, she thanked the audience, of course, and all of that, and we were ready to leave. But then, all of a sudden, she appeared on one of the balconies on the side of the stage. And this is truly unplugged. Without the microphone, they hadn't mic'd up the guitar either. This was pure unplugged. So people really had to be shushed. Or eventually the whole place went silent and we can enjoy the voice of Sophie Ellis-Bextor doing a rendition of A Pessimist Is Never Disappointed. And that was, of course, one of the singles from her time with The Audience, the Britpop band. And if you don't know what I'm talking about here, please look back on my episode from 2 weeks ago when I did a Sophie Ellis-Bextor special kind of thing, where I went through the records that I have of her in my collection. Yeah, so that was great. A great way to round off the evening. I don't know if it was actually planned that way or it was just like a spontaneous thing, but yeah, who knows. It was a great way to just round off things for that night. I've been to some really great concerts over the years. I always held Madonna's Blonde Ambition show that I saw in Gothenburg back in the day as the high point, really, the best show up there. And of course also seeing Depeche Mode during the Violator tour. It's another high point for me. So many great concerts, but I have to say this one is up there. It's top tier when it comes to concerts that I've been to. Overall, it lent itself very well to this smaller space, more like a club show, really, with Koko not being a huge arena or anything like that. But it really lends itself very well to this setting. The sound was really good, a nice balance to it. The band was super tight, and of course Sophie herself, spot on. Pitch perfect to my ears, at least. And she really invited us as an audience to be part of this whole thing. She really connected with us in a very, very unique way. And we walked away from there with all this feeling of love and enjoyment inside ourselves. Well, I can only speak for myself and my partner, but hey, we really felt like that. And to have the privilege managed to hear this new album that wasn't out at the time for the first time ever live as well. That was quite an experience for me. So top-notch concert for sure. Remember that photo booth that I mentioned earlier in this video where we took some excellent photos of ourselves? Yeah, those could be used as, you know, promotional material or rather on stage. And yes, in the later part of the show, there they were, all on stage, flashing through. All the people who took photos before the show was showing up on the back screen. And I managed to capture a couple of photos where we popped up a couple of times. And so, yeah, we were not only supporting Sophie and enjoying the whole thing off stage, we were also there on stage with her, supporting her, giving her all of our love and... yeah, crazy faces. And then this past Friday, the album dropped in my mailbox. And yeah, here it is. So what I opted in for was a bundle of the vinyl issue and the CD. So we will just have a look at both of them. This one, as you can see, does contain these photo booth photos. That is the main design of this, and I love this design. And you would think that every single photo here is the same one, but it's not. If you have a closer look, it's actually a bit different, some of them, and all of a sudden there's an empty spot there. Perfect. Really nice design for this one. And then on the back, we also get a very minimalist design here with only the track listing and a small photo of Sophie there, of course. And it's only a single LP, but they did make it into a gatefold where they took a chance to highlight some more photos of Sophie in that photo booth that she brought on the live show as well. Yeah, so it's really great. And of course it comes with an inner sleeve as well with all the lyrics. Yeah, so it's always appreciated. And I ordered this one from her official web store, or pre-ordered it. So I got it on blue marbled vinyl. Here we go. This is what it looks like. And it's a German pressing. And I learned over the years, if it says made in Germany, I think is it Optimum pressing plant in Germany? I could be wrong with the name there. But anyhow, I learned over the years that if it says made in Germany, you're probably going to get a really... good pressed record, and this is absolutely no exception. It sounds really good, dynamic, no hisses, pops, cracks, things like that on it. It's a nice quiet pressing, and I'm really, really pleased with it. And then also bundled together with that, like I said, was the CD itself. It's got a hype sticker here. So if you want to read it, you can pause now. Hopefully you can read it. But otherwise, it looks the same with the back. It's got the gatefold as well. So you're not missing out on anything design-wise, really, if you opt in for the CD instead of the vinyl album. And it also comes with a booklet like this, which does contain all the lyrics in very fine print. I think I could be able to read it, but I would probably pull out the inner sleeve for the vinyl issue instead. But it does contain something else that the vinyl issue doesn't have, and that's more photos from the photo booth. It actually contains even more in the CD booklet here, some variations. And yeah, but otherwise it's just the lyrics really for that one. But I do appreciate that they mimic what we had on the vinyl issue. And they also gave you some bonuses, of course, of the extra photos. Yeah, and because I pre-ordered it, I was also promised a couple of snapshots from the photo booth autographed by Sophie Ellis-Bextor. So it came in this plastic envelope, so I just kept it like that. So there we go. You can see, hopefully you can see the autograph there. So now let's have a look at the tracks from this album, Perimenopop. And I'm not going to dissect every track, I'm just going to mention them here, really. And I'm going to stay on a couple of them. That's basically it. The whole thing kicks off with a very familiar track, at least to me, because it was one of the singles released leading up to this album, Relentless Love. And what a great opener. I mean, we're all about the disco-tinted tune here, pop disco. You can't sit still, you sing along and just have a great time. And that great time just continues on to the next track, which is Vertigo. Of course, another banger of a track here. And that one goes into Taste, which is one of my favorites on this album for sure. I love that track. So 3 great openers here where it's all about being in the disco, in the discotheque and just dancing away. But then it breaks off with the later single, which is Stay On Me. It was released last week from this album, so we had 6 singles in total from this one. Stay On Me, it's a bit of a slower, a more breezier pop track, really, all about meeting that perfect someone on that night at the discotheque, perhaps, and you just lock eyes with each other and you stay with me. You have all the attention from that partner that you met up with. So it's just a wonderful track. And then we are snapped out of that cool breezy track because we're back in the disco, and this time around with Dolce Vita, another great single released from this album. I love this one. And at the live show, she had handed out, I think to VIP guests, these fans that they were all using. And I think I can provide you a picture of some of these fans being held by the audience and by Sophie herself as well. So that was a great moment because it's such an uplifting pop disco track, really. And we nearly blew the roof off Koko at that point. And then I think they round the A side off perfectly here, if we're listening to the vinyl issue, that is. And that is with the track Time. And we slow down things once again a bit. And she's reflecting on times that she's been through, different memories, and perhaps with a partner, family, whatever. You can apply that, of course, to your circumstances as well. But it's a very touching and lovely song, I think, and a great way to just slow down things once again on the A side before we go into the B side of this one. And the B side, it's a bit of a different mix here because we are not really situated at the disco the whole time here. It's a bit of a roller coaster more than the A-side was, but a good one. You know, roller coasters can give you that wonderful feeling of excitement and adrenaline and all that. And that is what the B-side is going to offer us here, I think. This is all in my opinion, by the way. Yeah, of course it is. It kicks off with Glamorous, which has that disco tint to it. Once again, a lovely track. Then it goes into my absolute favorite one of all the singles that was released leading up to this album, Freedom of the Night. Is such a liberating, uplifting song, really. I love it. I really, really do. I see it as one of the best songs ever released by Sophie Ellis-Bextor, actually. I really, really love that one. But then we go into a more of a mellow mode. I would say probably in the synth pop territory here, with layers. And layers of life, layers of whatever you might find yourself in at this time and space, really. You can relate to this. It's all built on layers. Relationships, time itself, life, of course, layers as well. It's all about layers. And another beautiful song. So Time and Layers are really those reflective songs, really, on this album. Perhaps where Sophie is at this point in time with Perimenopop. And then we have Diamond in the Dark. And this is a song written, or I would say co-written, by Ed Harcourt, that was a producer and co-writer on Hannah, Wanderlust and Familia, of course, that wonderful trilogy that I talked about in my Sophie episode that I did 2 weeks ago. And if you haven't seen that one, go and listen to it or watch it, please. Yeah, so Ed Harcourt is back again on this one, and I think Sophie mentioned on the live show that she wanted to bring him along again, and she said he always been a bit... He tried to avoid disco, basically. He wasn't too kind on disco. But it turned out this is probably the most disco-sounding song, really, when we're talking classic disco from back in the late 70s, for example. This is the one. And the co-writer for this one, along with Ed Harcourt, was no other than Nile Rodgers. Yes, and of course Sophie was involved in all of these as well. But yeah, you can hear it's Nile Rodgers produced or pen track, really. You got that very distinctive guitar work of his in Diamond in the Dark. So great one. A really nice surprise, because you have to remember, on the night when we saw this live, we haven't heard many of these songs before, and this was one of the big surprises. Ed Harcourt is back, and not only that, they also brought along Nile Rodgers. And Sophie said also, when she was speaking of this track before performing it, that when she went from her own label, where her previous 3 albums were released, or previous 4 actually, and when she was signed to Decca last year, and Decca, I think it's a subsidiary label now of Universal Music. So in a way, she's back where she started with Universal Music. She was she on Polydor back in the days? Yeah, another Universal subsidiary. Yeah, so she's on Decca Records now, and that opened a lot of doors for her, and that how she came in contact with Nile Rodgers, for example. So yeah, and there's a lot of different producers on this album, of course, too many to mention, but I will say a couple of things about the producing here shortly. Yeah, that was Diamond in the Dark. I got a bit carried away there. Then we have Heart Sing, another track, and this, we are truly in synth pop territory. It's a brilliant track, really goes way back to those 80s influences that she also has in her music, with a nice thumping synth bass to it, and another really, I wouldn't say breezy, but a slower song, another song that we get to reflect on what the heart sing, really. Yeah. And Don't Know What You Got Until It's Gone, it rounds off the whole album, and this is a perfect ending to a night at the discotheque. This is a last dance, perhaps, where you find your partner and you slow dance into the late evening, really. So a perfect closer to this album. I think it's all about the experience of going out, having a party, having a good time, but also a time to reflect between the pop disco of Perimenopop, and then to round off the whole night with a nice slow song to dance cheek to cheek to, really. Yeah, that's Perimenopop. Yeah. And like I said, the production of this one is really good. I really have to say it's tight, it's well thought through, and there's a slew of producers on this one, so I'm not going to just pinpoint one or the other. I think all the tracks are perfectly produced, and Sophie Ellis-Bextor is, of course, involved in all of this, as usual, in the writing of the songs, writing of the lyrics, and all of that, together with all these co-writers and producers. There's only one thing that I can really criticize on this album, and it has to do with the mastering, and I'm not an expert when it comes to mastering, so I'm just going to talk with my own words when it comes to this. It has to do with the opening track, Relentless Love, which is really punchy and it sounds great, and then it goes into Vertigo, which in my head was always very punchy when I listened to it on my playlist before this album was released. So both of them were equally punchy and sounded really good. But here on the album, going from Relentless Love into Vertigo, all of a sudden things drop a bit, not only volume-wise, but really the dynamic of it, the punch of it. So yeah, as I said, I was going to use my own words here. I'm not a technical expert at all at mastering, but that's probably what I wanted. But it just feels a bit odd to me because there's a lot of punch to Vertigo, but I found myself have to turn up the volume for that one, going from Relentless Love into Vertigo. And I don't know what the thinking was there. At first I thought it was the vinyl issue itself, because they do different masterings for vinyl and CD, so I popped in the CD, of course, and it's the same phenomena on that one. So it drops a bit when it comes to the punchiness of it all. But hey, that's a minor complaint. It doesn't sound bad at all. It's just that it drops a bit in the punchiness. Yeah, that's my only critique really against this one. I mean, all of it sounds really good to my ears, but yeah, I just had to point it out really. So, a couple of words here, a bit of a summary of my feelings against this album. And if I would give stars to reviews that I do here on my channel, but I don't, perhaps I should start doing that. I don't know. But anyhow, if I could, this would be top notch, of course. This is a brilliant, brilliant album. And she's back with that pop disco. And I know I mentioned that so many times here, but it's the best way to really explain it. But also, just like Read My Lips, a lot of people think back on that album like an album filled with pop disco, electropop, but it does have variations to it. There are other tracks equally brilliant, but they are not in that category. And I want to say this is the same. It's a great, great blend of everything, and it's really a journey. And ever since this one dropped in my mailbox last Friday, I've been playing it over and over again, and it's not because I wanted to review it here on my channel. No, it's because when it's finished, I was like, I need to listen to it again. It's a sign of a really good album when you get that feeling. I thoroughly enjoy this one. There is not a single filler track on this one. That's not a track that I feel, it's a bit of a forgetful track, because usually that's the case with albums, right? But this one, it's a solid album from Sophie Ellis-Bextor. And it's, some people call back to form, Read My Lips and subsequent albums. I wouldn't say so, because she already done that, right? And then the albums before this one, the last three studio albums, the trilogy of sorts, which was Wanderlust, Familia, and Hannah, that I have here behind me. I talked about these albums in the special that I did a couple of weeks ago here on my channel, and I love those albums. Those are probably my favorite Sophie Ellis-Bextor albums. I love the other ones as well, but those stand out so much from the rest of them. It was a passion project for her, really. She went in with all the love and passion when she created those three records, and they are a diversion from what she did before. She needed that was her palate cleanser in a way, moving away from the pop disco, as I mentioned so many times here, for example. And that's why I think I appreciated them so much when they came out. It was like, a breath of fresh air, really. And that's not diminishing any of the other albums, because I love them, but I think every artist needs to do that, to just change, evolve over time, and that's what Sophie's done so well. And with those three records produced by Ed Harcourt, absolutely brilliant. And then she found that it was a right time to return to her pop disco self by creating Perimenopop, and I think that was a right move at the right time. And a lot of people would probably say that, she took advantage of the popularity of Murder on the Dance Floor in connection to the Saltburn movie. But she did explain on stage when we saw her live last week as well that wasn't really the case, because she already started crafting this album before that happened. But of course that propelled her even further, and probably egged her on as well to do even more and better stuff. And more and better stuff we got. I love this one, yeah. And just to go back to what I started this summary with some people saying, yeah, she's back to form. Well, she never lost it in the first place. A huge thank you to all of you who have been watching this episode to the end. I really appreciate it. And a really warm thank you to all of my subscribers out there. And thank you to all of you who haven't subscribed but still watching my videos. Really appreciate it, yeah. And, you know, if you really like it, you can always click that subscribe button and you can stay up to date. And not only that, well, you will also motivate me to do even more and better things here on my channel. Now, you're a big part of it, all of you who are subscribing. It really motivates me and feel that I have a lot of people that I can connect to that are like-minded. But yeah, enough self-promotion. Until next time, you all take care of yourself. And as usual, I'll bid you a heartfelt adieu.